Today we're chatting with Stuart Daulman. Now, Stu is an award-winning comedian, writer, director, and actor. He's going to be running a number of different sketch workshops for us, including both solo and group work. To see what's available, head to spaceandearth.co. For now, please sit back and enjoy the episode. Because you've done a few podcasts as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good.
You've done. Did you have one with your mum? Is that right?
Yeah, I did have one with my mum. Yeah. It was called After Dinner at the Daulmans, and it was just me going around for a chat after dinner. It was kind of like dealing with, because my dad had Alzheimer's for about almost 8 years that we know of, and it was kind of like a good way for mum to have a chat while dad was just sitting in the other room watching TV, just for 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
But then, yeah, dad passed away a couple of years ago, and then we just were going to start it again, but we're like, I think we just want to leave it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
So do you need to keep revisiting it? And,
yeah, I don't know. It's just like if we're going to do another podcast, we'll do something else, but then maybe, I don't know. It was just kind of, yeah, it was fun. Like, it was fun to do. It was definitely important. But then, yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes with projects like it, you just have to put them away.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Especially when there's something like that attached to it.
Yeah.
Like you so often hear of like projects like just getting put aside just because it's like, oh, I couldn't find the time or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think when there's that emotional side to it as well, it's like there's not always a need to push through that just for the sake of it to like keep going and
Yeah, exactly.
and all that too. So
yeah, I used to edit on GarageBand.
Really, yeah,
Yeah, it's super easy. Just put it through there, click it, check the levels, put it out.
Yeah.
See how we go.
Well, I kind of find like whatever you're editing on, like it's fine.
Yeah.
Like there's so much made of like the tools, like what do you use to record and all that.
Yeah.
And
Pro Tools, what do you got? Zoom recorder, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You can do it on your phone.
Oh yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Which could just negate this whole setup that we've got here.
It's a good setup though. It's really nice.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of does a job. So,
Mm.
because I started getting into podcasting like just tail end of lockdown.
Yeah.
Like starting up Spurs podcast and that was sort of the first thing.
Did you do that with Barney?
Yeah.
Oh, great. How's it going?
It's good. We've dropped off a little bit over the last like month or two.
Yeah.
As the team has just been painful to sort of watch.
Yeah.
And we've just had other bits and pieces on. So it's like, oh, all right, well, we'll do the episodes when they happen.
Yeah.
But I think we've almost done 100
Oh, wow.
all up. So
that's cool.
yeah, we were going like pretty hard on it for a couple of years.
Yeah, great.
But I think we'll start doing more. But it's just like, when it feels right to, we make one or two good signings, and then it'll be like back like 3 episodes a week. Just like going.
Oh, yeah. It's
going
funny how
back
Barney's a psychologist now.
Yeah.
But then he follows Spurs. Like, it's a contradiction. Like,
what's that? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, like following Spurs, like he's supposed to help you with anxiety, right?
Yeah.
But then following Spurs would just give you anxiety.
Oh, that's true. I guess. I guess if you don't want anxiety, you just follow Man City, and then and then you're done.
Yeah, I guess. So I've met 2 real Man City followers, like supporters, and I was like, "Is this real?" You know what I mean? Like, you never meet them in the flesh.
You just picture they're like NPCs that you never actually bump into.
Yeah, that's it.
Were they very young? I feel like there's a lot of kids who.
Yeah, like young. One guy was like 19 from Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was just working at Man with the Van. He was on with me for the day. I was like, "What team you go for?" He was like, "Man City." I was like, "Wow."
Instant judgment onto the character.
Jeez, that's great. And then another guy, a friend of mine from work, he's like, "Yeah, go for Man City." My dad went for Man City. I was like, there you go. So
okay, it's like you pull it back when it's like, you're in the family. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
you get a pass.
No worries.
Maybe you do.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
It's. How did you get into following football?
I grew up I'm originally from South Africa. So I grew up in Johannesburg, and I was very sheltered from apartheid. My mum and dad were very much against that kind of stuff, and against Mugabe and all that the whole thing, really.
Yeah.
And so we were growing up in Johannesburg because my family was around there. Like, mum had 3 sisters, and most of them live around there. And then we kind of like, I used to play at like a high level when I was younger.
Oh,
So
really?
I was playing for a club called Stanton Megawatt.
Okay.
And they had some pretty good grounds, and the first two teams to tour South Africa, I think, other than the All Blacks and India, the cricket team were Man United and Arsenal at the end of the 94-95 season,
Mhm.
when Man U first won their Premier League title, and they trained at my ground
Oh,
where I
really?
used to play. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
met the whole team. I met Ferguson, I met Brian Kidd, I met Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister, Paul Parker, Clayton Blackmore, Brian Robson, Dennis Irwin. Beckham was, I think he was there as well, but I don't even know who he was. I think
This
some of the
must have been a
class
little pup
92.
then,
Yeah, this is like
surely.
94, 95, I think.
Yeah.
And then Cance and I didn't go on the trip, but I met Giggs, Schmeichel, Mark Hughes. Loved
Yeah,
Mark Hughes.
right.
I think he was my favorite player then.
Yeah.
And then I just became a big fan from then. Then my mum did Ancestry.com last year
Yeah.
and found out that, because I used to play like right back, right mid, centre mid, sweeper sometimes, but then
Yeah.
also up front and also on the right. But then always on the right hand side, never the left. Hate the left.
Yeah.
Right? Not politically.
Yeah. No, we all take that as a political
Yeah,
statement.
yeah. But I just can't play on the left. I hate it so much. And anyway, so my mum did Ancestry.com, found out that I have a great uncle that played 119 games for Man United
All right. Okay.
between 1903 and 1907,
Yeah.
and played a right back as well.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Bob Bonthron, and he got banned from Bradford because he slide tackled someone and caused a riot. So
That's been a pretty intense tackle.
yeah. And then apparently like he played for Scotland, I think, for a little bit, because my deep roots are like Scottish.
Yeah.
And then he played for Sunderland, and I think he played for Birmingham, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Which is where my Birmingham and Scotland are where my family is from.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into Man U.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting to get that deep connection from Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
Like, I'm intrigued to do something like that and see if there's anything there. I mean, it can go both ways. Like, you can either get a really good connection back in the family or get like perhaps a slightly unsavory character.
Yeah, 100%. Haven't they solved like many crimes, like missing murders or whatever, because of Ancestry.com? I'm pretty
Have
sure.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So they do the DNA match,
Yeah.
and then they go, "Oh, this person, your uncle's now implicated in a murder or something."
Yeah. We've got questions for you. This is the
Yeah.
police. We've
It's wild. All you want to do is find out information.
Yeah. Well, we saw that show. Was it Your Father or The Father or something like that? It was on Netflix.
Okay.
A doco about pretty unsavory,
Mm.
but it was like this guy who I think women would go in and they would think that they were getting like their husband's sperm. It was actually the doctor who was going off into like
Oh
a side
my
room,
God.
come in, and he would basically
That's so weird, though. That's such weird behavior.
It's so weird. And then but then people started, like, they were on Ancestry or 23 and whatever those,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
one
yeah.
of the big ones is in the
Yeah.
States. And they just started getting all these connections. And then there was like 80 siblings who were just like all connected through this one guy.
Doctor.
And then there's some religious
What
link
an
to him
ego.
as well.
That's such a crazy ego thing to do as well.
It's unbelievable. But then they were like, legally, he hasn't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you watch the documentary, you're just like, wow, I can't. This is like, it's unbelievable that you think that this guy effectively just got away with this, just because there's nothing that they could really pin him down with.
Yeah.
But that's my fear of, like, if you look up, just like, you know, I just wonder. Actually, I think I'll do it at some stage.
Yeah.
Just see.
Okay. Yeah.
Just see.
I don't know. My mum did it, so
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Maybe I'll have some Spurs player from back in the day.
There you go. You never know.
I'll have a similar story.
Yeah. That's
But
it.
I'll be like some guy who made like the reserves and played one game. or something.
Perfect. You got. Then you can, when you do the tour at White Hat. It's not at White Hart Lane anymore. What's the stadium called again?
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Hotspur Stadium. And go there and go do the tour, and I go, yeah, I belong here.
Yeah.
My family's here.
Hey, just let me in.
Yeah.
You probably recognise the face. Let's do it.
Yeah. See the guy on the wall?
Yeah.
My great uncle.
It's like, was sport your main focus when you were younger?
Yeah, I really wanted to be a soccer player.
Yeah.
I played for Oakley under 16s. We won the championship, the Super League or the A League or something like that when I was in year 11 or year 12.
So you moved over here by then?
Yeah, I moved to Melbourne in 99.
Yeah.
And then grew up in Mount Waverley.
Mhm.
And then it's pretty tough when you come over 99 because I don't have a South African accent. You can hear it sometimes, but it was really bullied out of me in Melbourne.
Okay.
You can't have like a South African accent, especially with the cricket and stuff going on southeast suburbs of Melbourne in 99. You dropped the World Cup, right, wanko? Oh, it's brutal. So I played with I played Oakley, and then I played for Eastern Lions after that. And then I just got more into like comedy, drama at uni and stuff like that. So, and also broke my ankle, and I don't know. Like with TV stuff and comedy stuff, always kept like it was always this or that. I couldn't really do both.
Yeah.
Which is annoying. Like I really wanted to play because I was still when I was like 12, I was a TV presenter in South Africa.
Oh right,
For
yeah.
like a TV show called X Attitude, and then there was Yo TV as well, which I got because of that. I was like the token white guy.
Yeah.
So on SABC, so I was like, I used to like there was Totally Wild, which is X Attitude, and then there was Yo TV, which is like Cheese TV. And so I used to like introduce all the shows and stuff with puppets around and stuff. But like in a South African accent, like coming up next is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at 3:00. So yeah, we moved to Perth in '97, and then still played a little bit, but didn't really join a club. And then played for Oakley, and then played for Eastern Lions, and then went to uni, then started doing sketch comedy for. I did the first Deakin ever comedy review, which is kind of like based on the law reviews of the Monash and the Melbourne Uni law reviews because Deakin didn't have one. So we started our own one, and then I did that. I think it was in 2005. And then in 2006, I did those ones.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, and that's how I got into sketch really.
So that was the first time you wrote sketch, or were you writing stuff beforehand?
No, first time I was kind of writing sketch. I always liked doing funny stuff. Like it was, and also my dad kind of brought me up on Monty Python. So
yeah.
Like I remember the first thing I laughed at the same thing in terms of a comedic level on TV at something on TV was Black Knight for Monty Python.
Yeah.
We were both laughing at the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
did he also have any of like not the 9:00 news at all?
Well, no, I don't think so.
I only asked that because they're the tapes that my dad had.
Oh, okay.
And that was like the Rowan Atkinson troupe.
Ah, yeah. Well, they love Faulty Towers and all that kind of stuff. So, but I don't remember not the 9:00. They probably watched it.
Yeah, like it's similar sort of stuff,
vibe.
but not as good as Monty Python in that sense.
Yeah.
Did you find it an interesting thing where, like, was that the first thing that you and your dad both liked and laughed at the same thing?
Well, my dad always kind of sold the idea of liking Monty Python as a cool thing.
Okay.
Which is so weird. So, like, because my dad was a photographer in, like, he was in London in in the 70s. And he used to take photos of like Ginger Baker and used to go on tours with bands and stuff. And like I always kind of got the impression my dad was a cool guy.
Yeah.
And then he used to say that me and my friend used to go to Monty Python and watch the Holy Grail at the cinema, and no one would understand. Like the conservative South African white audience wouldn't understand what's going on, but then they would laugh, and that's a cool thing. And then I was like, that's cool. And then I watched it, and I watched the Black Knight. I thought it was hilarious, and he's laughing the same thing. So it's kind of like, and then eventually, like years down the track, I watched the whole series.
Yeah.
Again and again and again. It's just so funny. Palin's the best. Palin, Kennedy, they're all like, yeah. I love. Yeah, Michael Palin for me is like the best for me.
Do you like he does a lot of travel shows and stuff, right?
Actually, I've been saving them. I'm watching them.
Saving them up to go.
Yeah. So I just think Palin's the best. And then I actually, like a few years ago, I went to London and I was there, happened to be at the same time as the reunion show.
Okay, yeah.
And my cousin got me tickets. And I went to the show at O2 Arena.
Yeah.
And I watched them live.
How was that?
Yeah, wild. It was wild. Terry Jones was like reading, because he had Alzheimer's, and he was like reading lines off the back of the box, like for the chocolate sketch or whatever.
Yeah.
Chocolate frog and but it was awesome. Like you see Parrot sketch live. You know? And then like at the end, it's like just, 10,000 people singing Always Look on the Bright Side of Life.
Yeah.
Like it's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's great.
And I guess, well, they're such like huge iconic performers. And even if you're seeing them like, years later,
Mm.
there's still that same like sort of magic and feeling
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really
Yeah.
fun. Very nostalgic. I mean, it's funny when you go to see like a comedy show and you know what's going to be said.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
going to see a band, really.
Yeah.
You know what songs are going to sing, but you go see them anyway.
I've never actually really thought about that because like you go see like a stand up to a show
Mm.
and it's not like you're gonna like, speak along with like all the bits and everything.
Yeah, but then some people like audiences do that. They like call out for bits.
Yeah.
Like I've heard of like, oh, do this bit, do that bit, like I've heard comedians like deal with that, but it's weird. I don't know. It's such a like sketch comedy in itself, like, because I've been in groups and stuff as well, and it is like being in a band.
Yeah.
It is very much like that. You need to have your roles really clearly.
Yeah.
You gotta. I do this, I do that. Otherwise, it gets quite messy. But yeah, it is very much like being in a band. I kind of miss it, but doing group stuff.
Well, so much of your stuff recently has been solo then.
Yes, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Why did you stop the group stuff? Was it just that solo stuff was taking off or
No. So, like, in terms of the solo stuff, I found that I just found a voice I really liked.
Yeah.
And then that happened to work well going into something like Fancy Boy, which was a group, but sort of a variety show of coming together of certain people. So it wasn't really like an established like group. We're not here as a group, but it was a show. Like, it was always Fancy Boy variety show. So there was always so many people coming in and out, so many guests. But there was a base of of what we had, and I was the host. But in terms of like what Wizard Sandwiches, which is the sketch show, I don't know. I feel as though that I really wanted to gig and stuff, and it's hard to organize for other people, especially when people don't live so close to the city, and like when they have to take time off from things. Some of them have kids and stuff and work as well. So it's just so much simpler just going, yeah, can I have a gig? Cool. See you there.
Yeah. Done.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just kind of came out of that, really. And then the solo stuff is just, I've just been lucky enough to have a few ideas that I've been really wanting to do. You're talking before about having something that you put aside, like an idea you put aside.
Yeah.
I've had this idea. I really wanted to do this show in 2020 before when a comedy festival got cancelled that year. It's a show called Buzz, which is all about bees. So it's called Buzz 2020.
I think were you at masterclass, were you handing out
Yeah.
things at the end of that which
Yeah.
had buzz on them?
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So it's coming. It's written. But I don't think I want to do it in a festival. I think I want to do it at like a theater.
Yeah, okay.
So it's there. Sometimes people ask like, "What's happening with Buzz?" So yeah, it's there. The show's written. just gotta figure out when I'm gonna do it.
Is there a reason that you want to do it outside of a festival?
Yeah, because with festivals, you have certain like turnaround times and constricted times for turnaround. Also, you have to have basic lighting setups. I want really specific lighting setups. And because it's all about different bees in the beehive, and I want to have like a spot for this character, and I want to have like a certain like a very specific thing that you can't just do a turnaround in 20 minutes before the show. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of want it set for a week so you can do it. Yeah, and then they can pack it up and do whatever.
This has got me excited. I want to see it now.
I want to do it. So it was going to be at the Malt House, but during the festival of 2020. But I'm kind of glad we got a year off there because it was good to recharge a bit. But it was pretty bad for the reasons. But yeah, and then this year was like I did 2 stand-up shows, and then this year was a sketch show, and then I'm doing a new show for Melbourne Fringe.
Yeah.
Called A Day in the Life. So it's basically a brand new show every day.
Yeah.
So the show will be written between 9 and 5, and I'll perform the show at 8:30.
Oh, literally, it's a brand new show every day.
Brand new show every day.
I thought it might have been just the concept of like there's something. But wow,
yeah,
that's cool. Yeah,
yeah. I can't wait. But yeah, the show's about. I've had this idea for a while, and I really want to start writing some kind of not so much heightened character stand up, but like more stand up from my life because I feel I'm writing a lot, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to. I just want to force myself into writing a lot of new stuff, and I don't know how else with that kind of impending deadline. I mean, it should be right. It should
Yeah,
be
yeah,
should
yeah.
get hopefully something out of it.
Oh, totally. I guess because you're doing new shows every year and everything, like, how do you approach that? Do you say finish a show, then like recharge for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then are you basically then starting to write the next year's show from that point on?
I think like it's you know I just kind of like the process. I like doing it. I like writing. I like when I've done that, then I was like, oh man, maybe that, and then I'll do notes in, and then I'll just go from there, and I'll think about it.
So when you say no, as in just like any idea that comes up, just jotting
Yeah,
it
just
all down.
put it in the
and-
notes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I really like an idea, then I'll just have like a separate note, and then boom, 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 add all. A lot of the time, it's towards the end of comedy festival where I get an idea,
Okay, yeah.
which is like, like I was, yeah, I don't know. I see a lot of stuff around the festival. It's kind of like, it's very much like a comedy convention, the Melbourne Comedy Festival. Like you see what everyone's kind of doing in their little booths, and I don't know. I just have this idea to do a different show every day, and it's also it's going to be really hard,
Yeah.
which I like.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to write a 50-minute show in an hour and a half before the show
Yeah.
because it'll be about 9 to 5. Then I'll write from 6 till 7:30. Show's on at 8:30.
Yeah.
And then maybe plot out some lighting cues or something, maybe sound cues, but I'll do it all from the computer.
Yeah, yeah, cool, yeah.
But the lighting, I'm going to have to kind of go to the tech person, hey, you've got to be on it.
Yeah. And they're going to be like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
I don't have any cues yet.
Yeah, exactly. But then, I think, I did the screenwriting course. I did the screenwriting course at VCA a few years ago, and that to teach the format of how a journey works and how like a solo show could work is kind of interesting because it is similar to like a movie kind of formula.
Yeah.
Where you have that lock in, midpoint, change direction, and then you got the last two bits as well. Then you got your climax or whatever. Second act turn, like it just kind of, it teaches you like those little tent poles that you can put in. You know what I mean? So you just look for those tent poles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'm just gonna have to do it every day.
Every single day.
Yeah, and then I want to try and do it at other festivals as well. But, yeah.
I think it's cool. Like stuff like that. It's just intriguing and like it sounds like a little bit improv-y in a sense of
Yeah.
like that idea of going to a show and you know that it hasn't been worked on for months.
Yeah.
And there is some kind of excitement about that.
Mm.
And I know that what you're doing is like a full other step from just like doing an improvised show to put it in that sort of like time constraint.
Mm.
But that I think is just really interesting as like an audience member to go along and go like, wow, I wonder like I can't wait to see like what this guy's put together in like an hour.
Yeah, and it'll be a different show
prep
every time.
Yeah.
So, like, that's another exciting part about it. It's like you see that moment in time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like being about, like, there's so much stuff that happens every day. And we're just like, because we are so focused on getting stuff done, like, yeah,
Well,
like,
you miss so many things. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also another thing. It's like to encourage someone being present. You really notice a lot about things when you're very present. I've spent, thousands of dollars and hours of psychotherapy trying to do that and not to look too far over the horizon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And same with like, we're both dads. Like my boy is like 11 weeks old now. And I'm trying to just remember that he's 11 weeks old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we've got to worry about certain things down the track. I've booked in the 4 month vaccinations.
Yeah.
And we've done the tours of the kindergartens or whatever, the daycares. But like, he's 11 weeks old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm trying to stay very present with that. And also like worry. A lot of people spend so much time worrying about stuff when it hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
Anxious thought is solving problems in front of you that haven't come across the table.
Yeah.
It's just solving possibilities. We're not scientists.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I also think it goes into sometimes people go like, I'm just being a realist,
Yeah.
but it's like you're still going off a problem that you have created that you are then solving.
Yeah.
So it's like you've done the work in your head to create the problem
Mm.
and then trying to solve it, and it's like two steps that just don't need to be done.
Well, exactly. Like, I'm a realist. It's like, I think that's, I don't know. It's like, what's real is here.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, realist in terms of like, it realistically might happen, but there's still the might in there,
yeah,
you know? So, but you also might like put on different shoes and walk a different way. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
so instead of, I don't know, I don't know what I'm trying to explain, but like, I think, I think presence in terms of for the show that I want to do is like, I'll be present because I'll be doing it and
yeah,
I'll be being present throughout that day. And then also the audience hopefully will enjoy a very spontaneous show about that day. And
yeah,
I don't know what's gonna happen. I might even just like might be 10-minute bit where I'll watch a funny video on YouTube.
yeah. Great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Because it's
definitely.
funny.
Yeah, yeah. I was listening to an interview recently with Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, because I think he's got a new book out,
Mm-hmm.
which is about creativity in his process
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
And he described himself as just like a facilitator of creativity.
Yeah.
He's not like that traditional producer for the most part that is like actually making music and that.
Mm.
So it's a lot of it is his thought process and getting people in certain headspaces and things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah.
And he was talking about like the idea of creativity without expectations
Mm-hmm.
is so different to creativity with expectation.
100%.
And I think this is, I feel like what you're sort of talking about here, that when you don't have those, even though the expectation here is like, well, I'm going to do a show tonight,
Yeah.
putting off the expectation of what that is going to be about before you get to the day and doing it,
Yeah.
it like opens you up to so much more to sort of come in and hit you. Like you said, like there's so many things that happen in every single moment
Mm.
that you normally just go right past. And definitely having a kid helps because like they'll be like, Dad, blue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that's cool, but we got to go this. And like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Have you seen blue?
Yeah.
How sick is blue?
Yeah.
And then you go, you know what? Blue is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
And it takes you all those little moments where you
Yeah.
are like, everything around, like there's stuff in like
Mm.
everything that you can sort of react to. So that's a kind of a idea I sort of
Well,
get
yeah,
from
I
that.
think expectation is exactly right. Like, it's like a lot of people get into performing arts, film, creativity, whatever, and they put these unfair expectations on themselves 100%. I think if you're doing that, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, first of all. Second of all, I gave up. I let that go like a long time ago. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, there's no, I don't necessarily want anything from anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, uh, I don't, I don't need anything. I don't need the wreath on the poster. Like, you don't need the review or whatever. I'm just doing it because it's there and I'm able to do it, and I really, really I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So, like, that's not only about being creative, but also performing, creating and producing and directing comedy stuff. And I don't necessarily think that anything has to, like, everything has to have a label or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
you can do whatever. That's what creativity is, really, for me, is like being able to create. Like, that's where the joy is,
Yeah.
So when you're creating something for, like, I try and tell that to a lot of people who's starting out, like, oh, I got to get best newcomer. It's like, why? Like, oh, I got to get nominated for Golden Gibbo. I got, like, if I'm gonna, but what are you gonna get out of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, um, I, I just think, yeah, a lot of people just get caught up in the result rather than actual, the finish line rather than the actual race. So it's not a race; it's just a nice walk,
Yeah.
and you just make stuff along the way.
Totally. And I think the same you see in like people taking up like improv, for example,
Yeah,
because there aren't many other creative things which get structured by schools into like levels,
mm-hmm.
like sort of improv ends up
Yeah,
happening. But you get people that do one or two levels and they're like, all right, now I got to do level 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to get on Harold, then I'm going to get on this, then I'm going
yeah,
to get on like the flagship show at the theater, then I'm going to
yeah,
do this, then I'm going to do that. And there's so much of that, like, it's like when you're saying, why are you doing this thing that you're doing now?
mm,
It's like to get to the next thing, to get to the next thing,
yeah,
rather than enjoying the walk, as you
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
and being like, maybe this is it. Like maybe whatever is happening now, this is the thing to enjoy.
Maybe you just really like level 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Great.
Doesn't mean you have to do level 5 or
No.
6 or whatever.
Just be a level 4 specialist.
Yeah.
Just go
Or do all
through.
the side classes or whatever the, I don't know. It's just, it's, yeah, I think, yeah, presence is key. And I don't know, like the hurdles, like who watches the hurdles at the Olympics?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen them.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Everyone watches a 100-meter sprint
Yeah.
because it's fun to watch. It's the race. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
race. No one wants to see people jumping over shit.
Yes. At Space and Earth, we also have a free Discord server. If you're not familiar with Discord, basically it's a place where you can log in and chat about a bunch of different topics in separate channels. So if you want to discuss improv, sketch, stand-up, writing, acting, filmmaking, there are different sections to do that in. We also use Discord to keep everyone up to date on our various groups. So if you want to come to our Saturday morning breakfast club sessions, we've got a channel in there where we keep everyone updated to what's going on. So please feel free to join. Head to spaceandearth.co, and like I said, completely free. We'd love to see you there. I think as well, like to what you're saying, of like if you are kind of just enjoying what you're doing, and not looking ahead all the time to like what's the next thing, like the Gibbo nomination, I need this review, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think that also kind of allows you to maybe be a bit more flexible in which direction you're heading in?
Oh,
And sort of what
100%.
projects you are sort of working on
Yeah.
next?
Yeah. And I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, and also like whatever venue with whoever, like obviously you got to be a bit wise with your time. I think time is very important, but like, yeah, it's I don't know, it's I think if you're making something that you like doing, whether it be whatever you want to do, like in any kind of sense, painting, singing, dancing, all that kind of stuff, then sweet. Like I don't think, people get boxed into things so easily.
Yeah.
And like everyone has their kind of their periods and stuff, and like if you want to be boxed in and you want to do that, then that's cool. But I get bored.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just do stuff I want to do.
And do you find then that leads you to, like, let's say you might have just done a sketch show, and then you go, you know what, I want to go back and focus on my writing more and write like I don't know, what do you write for, like more sort of like TV, film?
I'm trying to like I've got a few projects that I've kind of writing in terms like the show that I did for Festival Family. I wrote a bunch of characters for that. There was no real theme or anything like that. It was a loose family theme, but it wasn't really kind of, every kind of character had a kind of belonging, like undercurrent kind of theme, subtext or whatever. But in terms of like real, like, structured kind of writing, I really want to do a screenplay I've been doing that I did for the Masters, but I'm just letting it sit for a little while. Just needs some space just to breathe. But I'll go back there when I'm ready. I want to revisit Buzz again. Also, I'm going to be doing a kind of run of my last 5 years of shows over 5 nights.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just trying to figure out a venue, but it's called Back Catalogue.
Yeah.
So we'll do Death of a Dolman, masterclass on the Wednesday. Thursday will be the farewell reunion show.
Yeah.
Then haha, then family.
Yeah.
So I want to do that Tuesday to Saturday.
Great. I like it.
Yeah. I want to try and do that
The
somewhere.
marathon.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's movie marathon. Yeah. So, yeah, and I don't know. I just like these ideas and like doing them.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like so much of a directive out there, especially from like the like mindset business type things where it's like find one focus, that's it. All you have to do is focus on, and then you'll be successful at that, and that's da 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 da.
Yeah.
But I kind of think that if you're sort of more creatively inclined, and I guess when I say that I mean just you enjoy creating things, without even necessarily having a purpose to it, I feel like that's where that really doesn't work at all.
No.
And you need to be able to go, you know what, I'm a bit sick of this now. Doesn't mean I hate it forever. It's like I'm just going to leave that for a bit.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off and do this thing, and then when I come back to that,
Yeah.
I'm going to be much more energized to like give that a proper go again.
Mm.
But if you just kind of do the same thing, it can just get very kind of like monotonous and like the creativity gets sapped from it.
Yeah. I never really kind of looked at it. I've been lucky enough where I get, sometimes you get paid to do comedy, which is exciting, but never really looked at it as a job. Maybe that's the wrong thing. Maybe I should have.
Mm.
But then at the same time, I'm not looking at like the news going, what jokes should I write about? So yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess this just kind of works for me. Everyone has their different processes, whatever. A lot of people, like, yeah, they go Monday to Friday. I'll be writing 3 hours a day between this time and this time. That works for them for sure. I'd rather live my life, go to the sauna, listen to what people are saying in there, write down when I go get my phone out of the locker, and maybe write something about that, a sketch that might film down the track.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
something like that. You know what I mean?
I love this idea of saying you're at the sauna and just leaving every 30 seconds to go
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to your
Where's he
phone.
going? Oh, hey, Gus.
Yeah.
What'd you say again? Yeah, so I don't know. It's just that I think, yeah, a lot of the stuff that the stuff I do is based on like kind of what I see, like I did this character of a best man during Family, which was just a guy's like a best man who's like super, like blokey, but then terrible public speaker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's always those kind of contrasts that you see every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of just like that. It's fascinating watching people as well, and yeah.
When you're sort of creating characters or writing sketches,
Mhm.
are you in a stage now where you're sort of creating them based off very, very little and you're sort of happy to just expand rather than trying to overcomplicate an idea? Or is it something
Yeah.
that you sit back and you're like, this needs to have another layer. I need to
Yes,
sort of add
sometimes
more
there's
to it.
that. Sometimes there's things where you don't like. I really wanted to do, and maybe I'll do it for something else, but I really wanted to do an Aussie rapper character for the show, and there's something in there, an Aussie rapper talking about depression, right? Because they lean on that stuff so much.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, the guys like put up a beer if you got a mate who's got depression. You know what I mean? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, put your hands up. It's like, oh man. So it's like, but then I really like this character, but then it didn't fit for the show.
Yeah.
So you got to be kind of aware of that. You
Yeah.
can't just like, you can't put something in for the wrong reasons, I think. But in terms of like, writing characters or writing stuff for sketches and stuff, some of the best stuff that I've written personally, or the best kind of reactions I've had to things were the easiest things I've ever written. We're literally just like boom, boom, done.
Yeah.
Don't touch it.
Yeah.
We had or like a really kind of cool group dynamic. Like one of our, we were going back to Was It Sandwiches. Like one of the best sketches that we wrote was just a sketch that was an idea of something floating in the air and then get caught in someone's mouth and then playing music over it, and then it was the easiest thing we wrote. And then someone was like, but someone else in the group was like, how about we was like, don't.
Yeah.
Leave it.
Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah. So because things can appear to be too easy, but then you can put them, like, you get that character idea, then you put it in the show and you see if it works.
Yeah.
Like, and if it doesn't, you pull it out. Because like there's heaps of different sketches, heaps of different characters for sketch shows that do that, and 100%. Like sometimes you have to cut your best stuff.
Yeah.
But you put it you don't get rid of it.
Yeah.
You just put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
Give it some sunlight, it'll grow.
Yeah.
A little bit of water.
A little bit of time. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of air.
So I think that's with a lot of ideas you can do that.
Yeah.
Not just sketch comedy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think anything necessarily dies. A lot of people, like some people say, oh yeah, I've done that show, I'm not going to do that show ever again. So but there is a way. There's something you can, you can use that stuff. Or you once you've performed it live, you can film it. Like I don't think ideas necessarily need to be put to bed all the time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, like even when you're doing a run of shows, like
Yeah.
if you're say doing like 20 dates or something like that, are you going out and like how much tweaking are you doing throughout that run? Or by
Mhm.
the time that you start or maybe do the first couple of shows, are you then pretty set to just write it out with what it is?
Yeah. Well, This year, I think I was pretty happy with it, fourth or fifth show in.
Yeah.
Um, Usually happens that way. That's why I try and just do the first like 6 or 7 shows of previews,
Okay. Yeah.
because literally we had a child 2 weeks before the festival started.
Yeah.
So
Which is insane.
yeah, it's wild. So we kind of did that that way, because that kind of gave me license as well.
Yeah.
So took off not in the expectation from the audience, but the expectation on myself as well. So yeah. I also think if you have, like, spontaneity again is quite important. Um, and if you have your show where you're happy where it is after about 3 shows or whatever, or you rehearse really well into it, and you have your treasure map, or you have your undercoat, then you can start adding color to it. You
Mm.
know, shouldn't really, like, if you're doing a group show, don't go over to anyone's lines and don't improvise too much. But if you're getting a laugh on something, fully for sure, like, be present enough to do that. You
Yeah.
know, because that's what live stuff is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, if there was a couple of things, there was a couple of moments, especially towards the end of the run of a 22 show run during the festival, where I did find a couple of new things. You know, but you find it after, I definitely have, you know, have the base code going, and then you can play on that for
Yeah.
sure. I think that's the best way to handle it.
And is that something as well that it keeps it, especially towards the end of a run, it keeps it sort of fresh for
Yeah.
you when you do find these new things to play with and
Mhm.
have a little bit of fun with it? Because you
Mm.
know that, like you're saying, that bass coat, you know that that bass works.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, all right, well, now's where it's like there's a little bit of
Mhm.
experimentation to see,
Mhm.
like, all right, something might happen on a specific night and you
Yep.
want to be able to honor that and play with that a bit
Yep.
instead of being just like,
But then it won't
I'm
work the
so
next
for this.
night. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
But then it'll work the night after that, though. But
Yeah.
then, like, don't take the piss, because, like, you're booked for an hour in the venue, and then all of a sudden you do an hour and 10 minutes on the show.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Yes.
So, you just got to pick your battles, really.
Yeah.
But I think it comes with maturity, experience as well. And I mean, I was lucky enough to have a dramaturgy on the show, dramaturg, and then that was great, because I can only see so much of what's happening on stage.
Mm.
And for someone to come in and separate things, change the order of things, also do a test show before the show as well. It's important to kind of get a gauge of, not only, like, because you've just done it for the first time on stage, then you go like, oh, this should be changed, because I changed the order so much from the test show.
Yeah.
Test show was a mess,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was probably the best test show I've done. Like, yeah, I've done test shows in front of 2 people.
Yeah.
Like, it's a nightmare,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it works out.
Do you find now as well, like you talked about with age, like, approach slightly changing too? Are you less protective of things when you are getting someone else to like come in? Like if you are getting,
I think protective is the wrong word. If you've got someone who's working with you, then you're working with them.
yeah,
It's a collaboration. If you've asked them to come in, then yes, you take their advice. In terms of protection, I don't think you can be too protective about anything if you've asked someone to do that for you.
yeah,
But if there's something you kind of feel strongly about, you just said normally. It's like, oh yeah, but I just think that like, we had a weird ending. Like with a family show this year, we had one where I was in the car and then I'd seen the killers along to it, or it was pathetic.
yeah,
I was just trying to do something that wasn't working, and then it was a nice kind of silhouette, nice moment on theater, like in terms of like the lighting change and all this stuff. But it was just a bit too leaning on like a bit of like, oh, we've got to add a little bit of sadness here towards the end. Nah,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
we're done with that now.
We
Like,
gotta make the audience feel something.
yeah. No.
different on the way.
No. We've this is done. So I just cut the whole ending.
Yeah, yeah,
And we had a 5-hour tech rehearsal on that day, and then for me to do a cut of the ending that we've worked on. Yeah, it was hard to explain to the tech operator, but
Yeah.
but we just cut stuff out. We didn't add anything to it. We
Yeah.
just cut it out. And you find that with doing the show, running the show. We cut a couple of characters as well because it was running a little bit over.
yeah,
So you find the stuff out by doing it,
yeah.
But in terms of like being protective over certain things, um, I think if you're in that collaborative process where you've asked someone to come and help you out in terms of the dramaturgy, you have to listen to their advice. But then if you really like doing it, then you just explain that. It's like, oh, but I like doing this bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they're like on board with you and collaborating too, then
Yeah.
there might
It
be a
goes
thing
that
where
way
like,
as well.
great,
Yeah.
I think this bit is a complete mess, but
Yeah,
like,
exactly. But
it's
then
really
maybe,
fun.
but then you might find the theme from the show.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, it's a complete mess. Well, then that bit could be a mess as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
So yeah, yeah. It's almost getting back to being present.
Yeah.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? You can't be like, oh, but if that affects anything, it's like just be ready. I think.
Yeah, I just feel like that stuff comes with experience and doing it. And like I've definitely noticed that like through my design career as well. It's like when you're young and it's like you can get very attached to like, this is the idea, this is how it has to be. It's gotta come out like this. If it doesn't, then it's just gonna be wrong and it's all that.
Yeah.
But then I think as you get older, you're like, there's no wrong, there's no right, and you kind of thrive more off that collaboration.
Yeah.
And yeah, wanting someone else's opinion and actually going like, oh yeah, actually great.
Yeah.
Good point. Even if I feel like I want to hold on to this for some reason, that's your take on it. Let's scrap it. Let's move on. And I think it's also maybe having confidence that your creative ideas are not going to run out as well. Which I think as well is something that happens the more stuff that you make, that it's not like, well, what I won't have another idea tomorrow. Like, what if I don't have an idea next week?
Yeah.
But you do it for long enough, and you're like, ideas will just keep coming if you're just being true to yourself and like playing to that. So then it means if something has to get killed, it's fine.
But also take the pressure off yourself. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, no one gives a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
People come see your show, or they won't.
Yeah. That's
You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to change the world.
definitely.
You know? Like,
Well, it's probably like only if you are in that mindset of like, I have to win the Gibbo, I have to do this, I have to win that, where you might get too caught up in that of thinking like trying to perfect something that can never actually really be perfected.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you're not being creative, you're being productive.
Yeah.
You know? So,
It feels more like a business sort of decision.
yeah,
than if,
exactly. I'll tick this box, blah, 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 dot that I, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
You know, like, rather than, just muck around. Just muck around and be good to people.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you find, because I know that you do work on other shows and like art departments and things like that, do you find that ticks a different creative box then where...
No.
No?
No.
Or is that just very much just business, just like, not business, but you know, like very just structured, I go there, I do this, but it's my break from creativity.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't really be very creative and man with a van.
Yeah.
You know, I do that like part-time sometimes because sometimes this is quiet, and so I go back to man with a van and pack a truck pretty creatively. But I don't know, you just kind of it's important to have a break of it, and also important to stay in the real world a little bit. But the art department stuff is you kind of get told what to do.
Yeah.
When you get a little bit further along the track, same with anything, you can really start to get creative.
Yeah.
But there's always like borders in place, parameters in place, and always someone telling you that works and that doesn't work. You literally, like, some of the art department stuff that you kind of source, like a buyer, right? We'll buy three of that from Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree or wherever, and then you go and pick them up, and then they put them there, and they go, oh yeah, we'll pick that one.
Yeah.
So the production designer likes this one, but then here's the other two, and then the director go, oh, what other options do you have? Oh, we got this other two.
Yeah.
So there's so many levels of creativity that it's not a hindrance, but it's like you're dealing with. You know what I mean? Like, it's a machine.
Yeah.
Like, a production is a machine like that. So that's why I kind of like with the solo stuff is that you are very much making those decisions yourself.
Yeah.
It's just I happen to be with a lot of work that I've been doing recently is that you are working in that field, but you're not necessarily being creative at all.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. So there's a lot of sort of just legwork.
Yeah.
In that sense. And
carrying shit around.
Yeah. But do you find like that offers at least some break at all?
Oh, of course.
Like, because for example, like I've done some like late night, like delivery driving as a similar thing. And I'm like, the pay is actually not too bad.
Yeah.
And you just drive around, listen to podcasts
100%.
and like make some voice memos. And it's actually kind of really relaxing to do something where it's like, I'm not responsible for driving this.
Yep.
You get to sit back and like, you still have some like autonomy
Yeah.
in it, and it's just a really cruisy thing. But it can be so nice, I think, sometimes to just
Put
have
on a
that.
song once or twice that you want to,
Right.
that like I'd listen to a song like, I don't know, 50 times in a row that I think would work for a bit,
Yeah,
and you just play it over and over and over and over and over where you're driving around.
yeah,
100%.
yeah. It's like getting paid to like brainstorm things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you spend hours on the road just like,
yeah, yeah. And again, without that pressure of the creativity either, because you're like, well, I got to deliver these things, or I
Yeah.
got to, pack boxes and move that around. But if other ideas come up, it's great. And stuff just flows like so much more,
yeah.
I find, in that environment, rather than, say, sitting at home and being like, all right,
Oh,
need
for
to come up
sure.
with some things now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think, if you're busy, then you're also wanting to do stuff as well, where you're not doing the stuff you're doing.
Yeah,
So I think having a job or a part-time job is also very important.
yeah.
So yeah,
And I guess for anything creative, you kind of need
money.
money. It's
Cash.
important, especially when
You need
kids start
cash.
floating around. And
Yeah. Crazy kids.
I was just going to ask, like, how have you felt? I guess it's still like relatively new, being like a couple of months in.
Mm-hmm.
But like doing a comedy festival run, and like a lot of comedy things happen at night,
Yep.
which is also kind of tough with like kids and like
Mhm.
bedtime and stuff like that. Like, how have you found that adjustment?
Well, yeah, it's now I work around my kids' nap times.
Yeah.
So I know for today he should be asleep from 11:30 to 2.
Yeah.
So it gives me 2.5 hours to go on Midjourney and fuck around on AI.
Which is great. Do you?
I'm into it.
Yeah,
Man, I'm doing the prompts.
yeah. Do you
You
just?
know?
I do the same. Like, I just sit there for hours. I'm just like prompting pointless things.
Yeah.
Over and over
Yeah, I
again,
love
just to see.
I'm working on face swap stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm really getting into it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I'm not paying anyone to do my poster this year.
Yeah. It's
Just doing AI. So yeah, that's super fun. You can do it any style you want. It's insane.
yeah.
I love it.
It's actually like every time that I use it, I'm just more blown away by the stuff that it does.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so good. It's like it's limitless. It can do anything.
Yeah. And it's like I feel like you keep thinking, surely it can't do this.
Yeah. Boom.
But then it does it.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite thing is putting in basically like a 1969 sci-fi movie called blank,
Yep.
whatever you want, directed by Stanley Kubrick, about blank.
Yep.
And just seeing like what it brings up, because it's got that kind of freaky look to it. And it can be anything. It can be like a movie about toilets.
Yeah.
And then it's just got these.
Are you using the video ones?
I haven't used the video ones.
No,
yet.
neither have I. I haven't used the video ones.
But that would be like the next step.
Yeah. I want to use
To
the voiceover ones.
As in the ones that use your own voice, or that you can get other voices.
Yeah, you can get other voices.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do that, Nate. But I'm mucking around on Midjourney right now.
Yeah.
Just getting that face swap stuff going. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I've got this idea for my poster for the show, Day in the Life, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just getting AI to do it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so good.
It's no, it's so interesting, because I feel as well, like, especially with the creative process, like,
Yeah.
you get a lot of people pushing back on AI, and it's like, can never replace this, can never replace that.
Yeah.
But I always look at these things and I'm like, yeah, it doesn't look like, at the moment anyway, it's going to replace the whole thing.
Yeah.
But you can definitely use it as a tool
100%.
to start making things that would have been absolutely impossible for you to make
Yeah.
without it.
Yeah.
And that is a really exciting thing to start embracing. I
And
think.
also it saves time as well. Like, for example, writing characters, right?
Yeah.
Like I needed 5 trivia questions for a character that I used during family.
Yeah.
Got on ChatGPT, 5 trivia questions, please, about Australian sport.
Done.
Boom.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I
It's
can
so
move on.
good. Yeah. It's
So-
so handy for that.
Yeah.
Like, I use it, like, I'm using all these things daily now. I'll be like, I need a stock photo on the website that shows this. Midjourney,
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And I think there's like, it's interesting. I just think like there's no shame in this stuff, and the more that you use it, the more you get used to the prompts and like
Yeah.
what works, and it's just like the output that you can give it is just incredible. So
Yeah.
it's still a far way. Like, this is where people push back, where they're like, well, you can't tell it to write a 50-minute sketch show,
No.
and you're like, yeah, well, stop. Don't try and don't use that as like the defense to not use it.
Yeah. Also, like, yeah, it's kind of like that. It's such a that's so yeah, because it's such a human thing to do that,
Mm.
right? Making a comedy show is a human thing. Robots can't laugh, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like, why would you get a robot to do that?
yeah.
You know,
It's
but robots can make cool posters.
totally. Robots can brainstorm like cool stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
I need 20 location ideas that, are uncommon.
yeah,
And then it gives you some random ones. You're like, all right, great.
yeah, yeah. Or like, yeah, we needed a profile of a description. So my partner was like, because we're gonna do house sitting or whatever
Mhm.
for a dog, and then like, can you please write where she's from, what she's into, what's the dog name? Boom.
Yeah.
100 words, please. Boom, 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 boom.
Done.
Yeah, done. Need to write this bio.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's done.
Done.
You know.
Then it's like, done. Make sure you mention how handsome I am.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let's-
There you go. Yeah.
Let's play this up a little bit.
That's
Let's-
right. It's been a bit more spicy.
Yeah. It's
Yeah. No, I'm into it.
yeah.
So
I think it's going to be really interesting over the next few years as well, particularly in things like comedy and any other basically creative, like performance type pursuits.
yeah.
Just to see like how people start using it and what interesting ways they come up with, even if that is something that you can't see on the surface. It's just used in like helping put stuff
I
together.
honestly think in terms of I think this is probably the creative space is the safest space to be operating in with this AI stuff coming in.
Yeah.
You know, they're saying like doctors, all these kind of things that are going to get, because you can just go to, you've been able to go to WebMD for ages anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, it's the world's changing. Who cares? Embrace it.
yeah.
Don't be a boomer about it. And just like, oh, back in my day, I used to have to pay someone $5,000 to, have a painting of you as in the style of Roy Lichtenstein. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
So,
And to think like someone is saying, God, to see your show. And then you've done this bit with like then the trivia questions come up and they've turned to their friend like, probably use ChatGPT for that. That's
if they said that, I'd address that. I go, yeah, I did.
yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much for picking that out.
Thank you for figuring that out.
Yeah.
Does it make the show any worse?
Yeah.
Don't think so.
Let's move on. In fact, let's ask ChatGPT
yeah.
what this guy's like. Wanker.
Yeah. And I think that's just, that's probably, again, it's just like, not worrying about your creativity. You'll find ways to adapt stuff and it doesn't make you irrelevant if you know how to use help, whether that's from another person or a computer.
There you go. Exactly. We're all in this together.
Thanks very much for listening. If you'd like to keep up to date on future episodes, please consider subscribing. And for more information on what we're up to, including our future workshops and everything else we've got going on, please head to spaceandearth.co.